welcome into the NFL Week 10 preview show with Uncle Phil and Sticks. Thanks for joining us this evening. Uncle Phil, Sticks, how are you guys doing?
Good, man. Better than you. Thanks for playing hurt today, Matt. Matt's sick, but like a trooper, man. No NFL players got anything on you. You're playing hurt today. We appreciate it. So doing good. Looking forward to Week 10. We're officially past over the hump. We're on the back hill side of things with the NFL. Sticks, first half was really good to you. You were the prognosticator. You're killing this on the preview. If people aren't listening to you and what you're taking on the preview, they're missing out. Sticks, how you feeling about the back half of things, especially with your Steelers not making a deal at the trade line?
Oh, you had to bring that up this early, huh?
It's hard. Start early and often.
Yeah, Week 10 is upon us. We have some exciting matchups. The trade deadline was, it was rough for me. Didn't come away with anything, but still feel good about the crew in Pittsburgh. So, hoping we'll beat the Ravens at least once. Yeah, looking forward to the second half.
Well, I think you're in good shape. And look, I don't know about you, but I mean, we'll talk about that as we go along. But the Ravens weren't nearly as dominant as I thought they would be against the Ravens or against the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. The Ravens weren't dominant against the Dolphins that I thought they would. Obviously, it's standalone game Thursday night. That brings a lot of juice into, especially in the home team, because again, those guys it's probably their last standalone game. Although the Dolphins do have international game coming this week, but I think it's this week. But maybe it's the following week. Maybe it's I think it is the following week. But anyway, again, a lot of these teams that have one standalone game, they tend to put all out on those primetime games. Sure, the Dolphins did that, but to no avail. The Ravens took care of business. Before we jump into the games, just kind of a recap. Underdogs went 9-5. It was kind of a breakthrough. Underdogs have had, out of 9 weeks, have only had 3 positive weeks this entire NFL season so far. But favorites, again, you don't do anything. You just passive invest or passive bet on favorites. You're 57% this year, and you're in the money. Totals. 54%. Totals went. I know it feels like that all we do is go over, but there were some low scoring games. We actually even. The NFL, the odds makers still just can't catch up with this new kickoff. This new kickoff rule, again, moving that kicker back. We were typically starting either on a touchback last year or in worst case scenario, kind of at the 10, 15 yard line. Best case scenario, maybe the 30. Now the 30 is kind of routine and average. And sometimes a lot of games it's between it's 40 and almost midfield. So you're almost in scoring range. So the totals really up this year. Overs, are typical overs now. When I used to guess the lines, I would put an over, a total, kind of a default side was a -3 or +3, that kind of thing. The default total was around 43, maybe 43.5, but that's just not the case anymore. It seems like the default total now is like 47. It's made that much of an impact to that. And, it was almost rare to see a total now in the 50s, but now it's commonplace every week. It's commonplace to see a total in the 50s, not a big deal. And most times they're going over that.
Yeah. Those like 17-10 games. It's the anomaly now. It's definitely the outlier. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. All right, man. Well, let's jump into it.
Ready to kick it off?
Ready to kick it off.
First one we got Thursday night tomorrow. Raiders at Broncos. Raiders are coming off a loss. Broncos are coming off a win. They squeaked one out over the Texans. Well, let's get your guess first here, Phil.
We'll make that quick. My guess on this one is I've got Broncos 10.5, and I've got a total of 39.5.
Yeah, you're right on the money on the first one. The line actually opened at 10.5.
Okay.
Now we're seeing -8.5. Our total, we opened at 42.5, and that one's staying there. It's still at 42.5.
42.5. Okay, interesting. So it's a little higher than I guessed on that one. So interesting. Why do you think that's in the 40s at all? Why isn't that mimicking what I know the Raiders don't have a great defense, but it's a divisional game, so there's some familiarity there, which tend to go a little bit lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
See the Vikings Lions game that went under the total. A lot of people project that to go over, went under just because of familiarity, and you're able to know tendencies, that type of thing. To me, it seems like this one would be very similar to the Houston Denver game where the total's at 39. And I get it. Houston's got a dramatically better defense than Denver. I mean, than the Raiders. But just from a familiarity standpoint, I feel like Bo Nix is kind of a limiting factor. What are your thoughts on that? Why is the total up there like that? Where do you see that?
My interpretation is just that it's going to be. I think it is going to be a more low scoring game. In Denver, I think they're going to kind of set the tone, and it's going to be more of a Broncos style of game. A little more smash mouth, defensive oriented game. I like the Broncos to win, but I don't know if they're going to cover 10.5. I'm seeing
a lot of points for a divisional game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like those games are always kind of close.
Right.
I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier who handicaps games as well, and we're kind of talking about that. He and I kind of, talk about things every now and then. And he was talking to him, and he's very familiar. He actually grew up in Colorado. He's like, look, he goes, these games are just perpetually close. He goes, me and my buddies, we ran a sports book in college, and first weekend we were in the money on this game, and one of the teams was up 20, like either Denver or the Raiders. And then all of a sudden we're like, hey, we're going to win because everybody was on the other side. Then all of a sudden the second half they came back, and he goes, and we were screwed. We were almost out of business after 1 week doing a book. And he goes, these games are just really, really close. Because I was like, again, it's not the conference I grew up with. I grew up with NFC East. And so for me, I just was like, this just seems like a smash spot for Denver. And he's like, be careful. This is a Raiders. So he felt the same way as you did on this one. FYI, I didn't cover this on the weather portion. The weather's 51, clear, no wind, 5 miles an hour. So anyway, should be really, really cool. I think RJB just put it up there. He put up there. He's like, perfect football weather, 55 degrees, light winds, Denver, Thursday Night Football. RJB, man, you're absolutely right. Should be. My weather forecast showing 51, but either way, still the same thing, same neighborhood. We're going to do a good job. So it should be a fun time in this. And if you've got some comments, look, we'll put them on the screen. We'll do this. If you got some comments on the games, certainly let us know this. But we got some fun weather potential games this week. Weather is finally kicking in this week, Sticks. You're going to love it. I love it. And people who followed me in the past know what I'm talking about. We'll get to it. Any other thing on this game that you think is of note that we need to look at?
I'd like to see, Brock Bowers have a good game here for the Raiders. Lost Jacoby at the trade deadline.
Yeah,
might impact them a little bit, but I don't think he's played for at least a week or maybe two. prior. I could see it being a 20-9 kind of thing, and the Broncos covering that, but I think it's going to be more like a 21-13 kind of game, and Broncos win in, but again, not getting quite to 11 and covering that number.
Well, I would agree. These two teams combined are 2 and 5. They are both combined 5-11 to the under on the year. So the under certainly a lean in this game. I'm going to do some more research before I do it, but certainly gut does it. Both these teams are horrific at covering the spread. Denver's 4-5 against the spread. The Raiders are 3-5 covering the spread this year. So yuck. And so, if it's possible, both teams should not cover the spread. I'm not sure that that's possible, but will be interesting. Tell me this. Bo Nix ranks 31st in success rate among 34 qualifying quarterbacks, only ahead of Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, and Russell Wilson. Tell me this. If Bo Nix were not in Denver with Sean Payton as his coach, would we be talking about Bo Nix as a potential bust?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, it's I don't know what kind of relationship they have. Is it a Sean Payton, Russell Wilson kind of relationship, or is it better than that?
Well, no, I think it's better than that because Sean Payton specifically drafted him, so he's his guy.
Yeah,
he's his guy. So but if he weren't his guy, and if Bo Nix got drafted by somebody else, would Bo Nix be considered a bust? Because it feels like Sean Payton is drawing up some play calls that, again, those masterful play callers. Daniel Jones looks great with Shane Steichen. Patrick Mahomes has certainly benefited from Andy Reid. Because playing, all those master play callers, you get those people on, and especially they give great options for the very first read, right? And so their job as a play caller to get that first read open, boom, hit the back foot, that ball's coming out, and do it. Like Patrick Mahomes, for instance, oddly enough, is that typically you don't want to give a quarterback more time to throw, because the more time they have to throw, receivers get open. You can only count on D-backs to cover receivers for only so long, so many seconds, and you're like, hey, there's got to be a rush there. Oddly enough, with Patrick Mahomes, the more time you give him, the worse he is. So it's odd. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in playoff history when you give him more time, and that's what the Eagles did last year. They rushed 4, played him back, more time, and he's not good once you get him past his first read. So it shows you how valuable Andy Reid was in getting that first read open. But he's obviously one of the best quarterbacks in league history as far as hitting the back foot, boom, ball's coming out, because Andy Reid's scheming it up. I'm not saying anything negative about Patrick Mahomes, but it is something that when you're with a play caller, Shane Steichen is to Daniel Jones, obviously, we talked about what Sean Payton's doing for Bo Nix, Mahomes doing for that. I mean, obviously what Shanahan does for his quarterbacks, pick a quarterback out there in San Francisco. McVay does this. Stafford's a little bit different. Stafford's, kind of a savant. But again, that's kind of part of it. And I just wonder about Bo Nix, because he struggles, in accuracy, especially the deep ball's not there. But, these short passes, which is what Peyton's drawing up. And I just want to get your opinion on that.
Yeah. I mean, he, thinking about it and having you break everything down for me and thinking back to watching, some of those Broncos games, he kind of has some Trevor Lawrence qualities for me,
That's fair.
No doubt he's a talented guy, and depending, we'll see what landed, besides Denver, but when he's on, I mean,
Yeah.
a few of the games this year when he's on, I mean, he's
Yeah.
really on. So, maybe too soon to tell, but definitely a possibility. I think it's worth talking about or worth mentioning. Because I don't think we know yet with Bo Nix. This defense might be kind of keeping him in it, and time will tell.
Yeah, 100% agree. All right, buddy. Well, let's move on to the next.
Okay. Sunday morning game. We have a 9:30 game. I think this one's in Germany. What's the weather report in Berlin?
Yeah. This is going to be fun. Berlin, you waited all year to get this, and you get the Colts and the Falcons. Congratulations. You get two dome teams that have to play outside.
Right.
So interesting. You got a forecast of 48. So we're into the 40s. I think it's our second or third 40s game this year, this season. So that's good. Winds 3 miles an hour, just overcast. So not, big deal, but these soft dome teams could be a big deal. We'll see how that goes on that one. My guess on this one is that I have got Indy 6.5, and I've got a total of 47.
Again, right on the line. It actually opened at 5.5. Indy laying 5.5. Now we're at 6.5, minus 6.5, and our total opened at 48.5 and is still at 48.5.
Okay. All right. So for me, I certainly see this. I understand why it's kind of crept up toward Indy. I think you probably have some sharp players saying, hey, you've got an Indianapolis team that look, they kept it reasonably close at Pittsburgh despite having like 6 turnovers. And so there's a little bit of an overreaction here that there's still some value on Indy. And also, if you notice that teams prior to going to an international game, it's like you go into a big trip. You're like, hey, you've got an international trip. And then like the week before, you're kind of distracted because you're trying to like, hey, let's set up the itinerary. What are we doing internationally? Let's pack. And you may not have your best week at work prior to an international 2 or week and a half trip or however long you're gone. Well, that's kind of the way NFL teams are as well. A lot of times there's an edge looking at teams prior to traveling international games. And certainly we saw that this week. Indianapolis, neither one of these teams won, although Atlanta did a good job because they should have won. In the words of Peyton Manning from a long time ago, is like our idiot kicker missed extra point. But Indianapolis not only was distracted, just didn't look. Daniel Jones looked like New York Giants. Daniel Jones. You obviously, you're the Steelers insider for us, and but so you watched this game and probably watched it very closely. What were your thoughts of Indianapolis? Do you think just a bad game, or do you see like things of that gave you pause about this team? That are they overvalued, or they just have a bad game?
I just with the track record so far this season, I got to say it was a bad game. But what's interesting is, I don't think that game was as close as the final score said it was.
Agreed.
They were up 27-10. Steelers were up 27-10 on the Colts.
Yeah.
And halfway through the fourth, then they started giving up yards in exchange for time off the clock. And that's where the bulk of maybe not the bulk, but maybe half of the yards the Colts had all game. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
So obviously the Steelers D was looking good, and we'll talk about that later. But
sure.
The Falcons they almost stole that one away from the Pats too. I think they came back it was within a point. Just kept watching them creep back. So the Falcons week to week. I mean, that team is just. I'm confused by the Falcons. I don't think their D is going to hold it. I think the Colts will rebound. I I think the 5.5 is going to be covered by the Colts. I think we're going to see the Colts we saw before the Steelers game for this one.
Yeah, it could be right. I mean, the Colts clearly have to get back. You know, they didn't really engage Jonathan Taylor in that Steelers game. You know, I mean, at all. They just didn't continue to. You know, Daniel Jones threw 50 times against Steelers. That is not a recipe for success for the Colts. They've got to get back that look. They clearly, you know, I don't know if it's Steichen who panicked, but somebody did. Obviously, Steichen has to be calling these plays. But 50 times passing the ball against a Steelers team is not good. You allow TJ Watt to just continually pin back his ears and come after you. Probably had his best game this entire season, I think.
Yeah.
And so by far. And so you were just kind of talking about Steelers. You know, we'll kind of get into that second, but we're kind of like TJ Watt's grabbing the face mask the last game. And you see players that are kind of on the borderline getting on the downhill side of things. And they're like, you know, doing PEDs and they're grabbing face masks. And TJ Watt didn't do that. He just brutalized a very good Colts line to do that.
Great line.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, yeah.
I mean, look, I mean, as an NFL quarterback, 35 is probably the max. 28 is probably the right number as far as number of attempts that you want to be as a quarterback. You know, Jalen Hurts a little bit lower. You know, he's around 23. Anything above 23, their win-loss rate for the Philadelphia is a little bit less, but they've kind of gotten back to things. They've kind of reined in, figured out who they are, kind of got back things in line again. I'm not sure. Hopefully the Colts will learn that lesson. I'm sure they will. Shane Steichen is always considered one of the best play callers in the NFL. Finally has his quarterback look like a good team, but they're trying to be a great team. Gave up what I thought was a ton, I think was too much, but you know, the big news out of this game is the trade for Sauce Gardner on this one. Tell me what you think about that trade. You know, granted, they're 26 in pass defense, so they needed to do something, but this was an awful lot to do to give up that. What do you think about the trade of giving up so much, getting Sauce Gardner? Will Sauce Gardner, what impact will he give? And then second of all, in your opinion, was it too much? Because you may think that it wasn't. But, I mean, this is the same amount that essentially Dallas gave up to get Micah. And our Sauce and Micah, the same type of impact player. You tell me. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think Sauce versus Micah, if we're comparing them, is kind of like a 1A, 1B. You know, you still got to give the nod to the edge rusher, right? Yep. They're the biggest game changer on the defensive side, but a corner's probably just right there behind it.
Yeah.
You know, so to have a true shutdown corner, you know, both sides now in their secondary should be pretty strong. You know, I think they're going to be able to shut down the Falcons, you know, or at least, you know, minimize what they can do through the air.
Right.
You know, you know, it's all timing. You know, timing is everything. And, you know, with what the Colts have done so far this year, how they're looking, ownership says, hey, let's spend some money and let's make a legitimate run at this. You know, so for what they needed and what was out there and available, I like the move. Yeah, 2 number ones is big, but you know, what kind of number ones are these going to be? I mean, they're not going to be you know, the 5th or 10th pick in the draft. I mean, they're most likely going to be the 28th, 29th, 30th pick, right? Mm-hmm. So I like it. I like that the Colts went out and got Sauce.
Yeah, totally agree. Which should be an interesting thing. Look, Lou Anarumo, you give him that. I mean, clearly we can knock on Cincinnati again because Cincinnati's defense actually is worse this year without Lou Anarumo. Let's just go ahead and say it. Lou Anarumo was not the problem with Cincinnati's defense because it's worse this year. And you give Captain Lou, you give him Sauce Gardner. I think he's going to make some magic happen, kind of very like Surtain. My concern with Sauce is that he's not really a take the ball away kind of guy. And so that to me kind of devalues a little bit. So maybe a 1's not right. But if you're Indianapolis, you're like, hey, clearly you're giving away 2 first-round picks, one next year, one the year after, on this. So you're essentially saying in the building that we got our guy in Daniel Jones. So they don't need a quarterback. So they are given the division. They are projecting themselves to be higher up in that division. So the draft pick they're essentially giving in their minds are low first-round picks because they think, hey, we're going to be a playoff team each year. So fine, have our 27th, 26th, 29th, 30th pick, potentially, 31st pick, Super Bowl. That's what they're saying. This is difference between good and great is inches, not feet, right, in the NFL. Right. And so that's what they're saying is like, hey, why not go all in? Chris Ballard is probably, GM of the Colts, he's on the verge of getting blown out. So is Shane Steichen. They were on the edge this year as far as, people that might get blown out after this year because they've had a while to kind of get there. They've had some rough spots, obviously, with Anthony Richardson. Now they have the guy, Chris Ballard's like, hey, look, if I'm going to get blown out, I'm going to go down swinging. Give me this guy. I think we can do this. And if it works, then my job's safe. And if it doesn't, I was getting blown out anyway. So why not go ahead and do it?
Yeah, I think they have a relatively young team that are pretty locked in, and they're probably going to be running with this crew for a couple of years for the most part. So I don't think there's a huge need for those picks for the Colts right now. When you can get a shutdown corner. So yeah, we'll see how Sauce looks in a Colts uniform.
Yeah, totally agree. You've got some injuries. Looks like a couple offensive linemen, couple defensive linemen for the Falcons right now. We'll see. It's really unspecified right now as far as their game status. You never know if it's rest or whatever for these guys. So again, Falcons got a pretty big list. Colts not as big of a list, but kind of average for Week 10. But obviously, you guys that are making financial investments in this, make sure and check the injury report before you lay any good money down.
No doubt. Okay. Saints at Panthers. Saints are coming off a loss to the Rams. Panthers, big win over the Packers.
Yeah. New Orleans 1-8, Carolina 5-4. Carolina again above 500. Carolina not this season, but before this season, Carolina's last time that they were above 500 was Week 5, 2021. So historic for Carolina. Looks like Dave Canales is working. Pretty excited about Carolina. I actually called that on the Lock and Live show on Sunday morning. Told people to sprinkle a money line on Carolina. Thought it'd be a good upset pick, and was. I've got this game. I have got Carolina 6.5, and I've got a total of 41.5.
Okay. Open was Panthers -5.5. It's moved down to -5. Total opened at 39.5, and we're still at 39.5.
Yeah, looks like an injury to Rico Dowdle popped up in the report. Potentially that makes a difference. He's been on fire.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, so we'll have to do it. Saints moved off an offensive lineman to the Chargers, and they also moved off of Rashid Shaheed to Seattle, gave them over top threat. So I'm sure if you're Tyler Shook, you're like, WTF, trying to get a job here, and you just moved off some of my peeps. What people that I need, especially on offense. Now I've got less pass protection and less people to throw to. So we'll see how it goes. That one, as far as weather, again, should be a great. This one is not a weather concern at all. 72 degrees, clear, winds 12 miles an hour. So relatively balmy. So should be no impact on a dome team going out playing at 72 on that one. Any any thoughts on this one at all?
I mean, I like the Panthers defense, obviously. Losing Shaheed, I mean, that guy can stretch the field. I think it's going to be a more low scoring game. I would probably lean towards the total instead of that 5.5 line, probably just because I've had no luck with the Panthers specifically.
Yeah.
So, I like the total here. I would probably go under.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of even. Two teams together, 8 and 10 to the under. So slight lean to the under, but I can certainly see why you're doing it. We'll see if you don't have Dowdle and if he's not in, that's a big deal. And then of course for the Panthers, and then you're missing Shaheed for the Saints, and you're missing an offensive lineman that you traded away. That apparently the Chargers saw enough value to do a trade for him. That could slow the offense down. And just to put in perspective, since Rico Dowdle was named the starter and took over at running back in Week 5, Carolina ranks 5th in the NFL in EPA per rush. So that's the impact that Dowdle has to their rushing game. So if he's not playing, that's going to be a big impact. Again, be very, very careful about betting this one. If Dowdle's not playing, that's really a key to that one.
Yeah. All right. Another 1:00 game, Giants at the Bears, going in Soldier Field. Giants lost to the 49ers. Bears just barely beat the Bengals.
And they did in historic fashion.
Yeah.
You couldn't really see that with the angle that they gave you on the game, where Caleb's throw to Colston Loveland to score that game-winning touchdown. You kind of saw it looked like kind of a routine throw, kind of empty. I mean, kind of like an open throw. But if you saw the alt 22 angle on that one, then Caleb really threaded it between 3 guys, threw it at the back shoulder so Colston Loveland wouldn't get crushed by the safety. And then you saw that pathetic Keystone Cops attempt by the Bengals to actually try to tackle him. But it was a phenomenal throw by Caleb, and that's the wow. That's the possibility with Caleb that you could potentially get, and what we might be looking at in the future. Because again, I throw last year away for Caleb. This is really his rookie year because he just didn't have the coaching last year. But he does this year. Again, very similar numbers to Josh Allen on this year to this year. So I think that Caleb's got a lot of potential, and that's what you're hoping for in the future. Certainly better quarterbacks are better for the NFL, better product the whole way around. Mine in this one, my guess is that Chicago 3, and I got a total of 49.5.
Chicago did open at 3. Chicago opened lane 3. We're at 4.5 now. Mm-hmm. And our total's 47.5.
Interesting. What might be leading to that lower total? Our lowest opening game temperature of the entire year at 40 degrees.
Ooh. With
a 13% chance of snow. It's very, very exciting. I love snow games. I don't think clearly at 4 degrees this isn't going to bring that, but even just being able to mention it would be a little bit of the Windy City influence here. Winds at 14 miles an hour. Should be a fun game. What's your breakdown of this game?
I like the Giants before you told me about the weather. Now I really like the Giants. I don't think the weather, helps the Bears much with their style. I don't think they're going to run the ball well. Jackson Dart, he's a dog. I like him in this game. Give me the points. Give me the 3 points.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, the Giants have had the number one hardest schedule up until this point. Now they go to the number one easiest schedule from here on out. Giants should enjoy a little bit of break, a little bit of a breather, and I think you could probably find some value on the Giants and the points on these games like this because people are still like Giants aren't covering. They just got blown out last week by San Francisco, so therefore Giants suck. And the NFL has a way of humbling you and go, not so fast, not yet. San Francisco's got a good team. Last week was their very first week without their emotional leader with Scadaboo. But teams adjust. You could see Dart when he didn't have a good game. It's very emotional. Last week he was getting consoled after the game. But again, you kind of learn. You're like, hey, look, there's another game with NFL. It's not like we got just knocked out of the college football playoffs. Let's keep rolling. And so you'll see that there. Expect him to pick up the slack. I'm with you. If I played it, I would certainly lean toward the Giants in this one. Again, weather issues potentially. It's only 13% chance, so I don't want to get like too hyperbolic about it. But it does me good just to say snow. And we'll see how that goes. But this is coming from a guy who lives in the South, right? People in the North are like, WTF, what are you talking about? Who cares about the snow? Don't get so excited about it. So anyway, I'm with you. Let's
40's not 60, and it's a factor, to an extent. So yeah. All right. Moving on to the next one here, we got Jaguars at Texans. Jaguars beat the Raiders. Texans lost that close one to the Broncos.
I think the Texans actually win that game if C.J. Stroud doesn't get knocked out. And I felt like it was a questionable kind of a slight dirty hit against C.J. Stroud, kind of looked like as well. But I felt like that Denver, again, escapes. And I feel like Denver just escapes. I have got – and Jacksonville escaped the Raiders. So I have got, my guess is Houston 2.5. And I got a total of 41.
It opened with Texans -3. That one has gone all the way to +1.5 for the Texans.
Wow.
Our total opened at 41.5. And that is down to 38.
Not surprised at all. But the +1.5 is interesting because I thought Davis Mills actually looked serviceable against Denver. I thought he looked good.
Yeah. I was going to say, is that means now Stroud's not playing?
Stroud's already been ruled out.
Okay.
Yeah, concussion in protocol. It'll be Davis Mills suiting up for that. And I understand the move, why it is, but I didn't think that he was terrible. And I thought, if the Jags kind of struggled against the Raiders defense, I mean, they're certainly going to struggle against Houston's defense. We'll see, especially since it's at Houston. So we'll see about this one. Let me see if there's anything on the against the spread record that anyone there that we need to give any time to. Let's see. I don't see anything with Jacksonville that would make me too excited about things. With Houston, Houston is 0-5 in one-score games.
Wow.
That's interesting. This is projected to be a one-score game. So we will see. Not as really heavy to the unders. You'd think they'd be. They're 3-5, with the under being the 5 on the totals. And so certainly a slight lean, but not as big as you would think so. But here's something that I think is interesting is that that the under has gone 17-4 at home under DeMeco Ryans and 4-0 this season at home. So that's something to look at. Um, um, but again, we'll see. I just this Houston team, I know to Houston's fans is very frustrating, right? I mean, Houston, I think the Texans may have the best defense in the entire league, potentially, but can't get to 500. And I think it's in part how bad the offensive line is. Certainly struggle to run the ball. They're 29th in rushing EPA per play. And certainly being without CJ Stroud this week is not going to help.
No, I haven't felt real confident about putting money on the Texans this year with CJ Stroud. So I think for this one, I would probably, skip this game. If I had to do something, I'm probably going under here too.
Gosh, we're right in line. I'm lockstep with you. It feels like an under type game.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next, Uncle Phil? We got Bills at Dolphins.
Yeah.
Bills had a big win over the Chiefs in Buffalo. Coming off that loss to the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm about to pour some cold water on that, though. I've got the Bills 7.5, and I got a total of 49.
So it opened at Bills minus 8.5. That's depending where you're looking, now at 9 to 9.5.
Yep.
Our total opened at 48.5, and that has moved to 49.5.
Interesting. Okay. Look, Buffalo won a big game against Kansas City. Will there be any type of hangover this week? Because, again, they're so focused on that one. Like, hey, we're winning all the games at home. We're closing down this stadium this year. But, again, beat Kansas City every which way they could possible in this game. But at the end of the day, it was a one-score game. At the end and Patrick Mahomes was throwing at the end zone doing a Hail Mary. So, I mean, and Patrick Mahomes was without, I think, 3 offensive linemen, and you're still there. And what's it going to be like with Kansas City in the playoffs? Kansas City, they're going to be completely different teams. Both these teams are going to be 2 different teams if they get the playoffs, and if they face each other, it'll be interesting. So I kind of feel good about it, but then I kind of don't feel good about it. Also, something note, James Cook showed up on the injury report today. If he doesn't play in this game, be tough to take Buffalo on the road. That's something you're going to have to definitely watch. The Dolphins did trade Jalen Phillips to the Eagles. The rich get richer, but did hang on to other players. Bradley Chubb still there. Waddle's still there. So obviously the big parts there are still there. They didn't completely do the fire sale like the Jets did, or the Saints. So they're still a dangerous team, especially in division. Any other thoughts on this game at all?
Well, you didn't mention Minka. Minka's still there too, and that's I saw that he was. Yeah, that was interesting. I saw that come up. He was available. Uncle Phil, this one, I'm not totally sold on the Bills too, and I talked to a couple of the Bills Mafia that follow them religiously, and they both thought the Bills were going to probably give that game away. It's a lot of points for being in Miami. I'm leaning Dolphins right now, but I can't say I feel exceptionally strong one way or the other.
Yeah, with you.
Okay, Ravens at the Vikings. Ravens, they won that one over the Dolphins. Vikings, big win over the Lions. Made the Lions look bad.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hey, one thing before I get carried away on this one, just to catch a little box that I didn't check on the last one. Not like there's any weather there in Miami, but just for those who might want to go down the game, might want to escape some of the early winter, 81 degrees, partly cloudy, in Miami, 6-mile-an-hour wind. So go hang out on South Beach and enjoy your time there. This next game, my guess on this next game is that I've got Baltimore minus 1.5, and I've got a total at 45.
Would you believe it opened Baltimore minus 4.5? And now we're some places we're still at 4.5. As low as minus 3.5. Our total opened at 46.5. And now we're seeing that climb all the way up to 48.5 to 49.5, depending where you're going.
Interesting. Obviously, a dome stadium, so should be kind of a fast track and lend itself to that. You say it's still 4.5?
Again, depending where you're placing your bets, I think MGM has it at minus 4.5. DraftKings has it at minus 3.5. So right in there.
Yep. Interesting enough. I think there might be a little overreaction on Baltimore right now because I felt like Miami ran the ball over them. They just kind of had some bad breaks, and I know Baltimore is kind of a desperate team right now, and you're like, hey, they got to win. But I think this game's tricky, especially what Minnesota showed last week on the road against Detroit may have some momentum coming into this game. 4.5 seems like a lot there. Baltimore did make a move for the trade deadline, picked up an edge rusher, which was needed in that game. We will see about this one. I understand where the total's gone up. Minnesota games are 7-1 to the over. The best record in the NFL as far as going over the total. Baltimore 6-2 to the over. So you've got to certainly look at that as potential there. But I saw a run defense last week that Minnesota had that I haven't seen all year long. They shut down Detroit's run defense. Obviously, that was my big play this weekend. Best bet just looked horrible out there online and just got crushed because of it. I understand. But I took Detroit first half as one of my best bets, public best bets, and I took Detroit for the game as second best bet. And, of course, just pulled a big goose egg, went 0 for 2 on both of those. But I just didn't expect that Minnesota would have its best game against the run all year long. Now, I realize Anzalone's back, and there's, some it makes a big difference to that defense. And but again, had their best statistical game against the run, and I didn't expect that to happen. I think Detroit probably could have covered late, but that late fumble by David Montgomery getting punched out after he got like 15 yards around the left end. And then Minnesota got a cheap score from there, and then it was done after that. But there was an outside chance to cover, but again, that's the deal. But came away very impressed. However, Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy is, again, I think people came away and said, hey, J.J. McCarthy had this great game against the Lions. And really, he, again, just had one good quarter in this game. His first quarter passer rating was 141. His passer rating in quarters 2, 3, and 4 was an average of 38.
Oh, wow.
So, again, J.J. McCarthy, and he had one big throw at the very end. They had more rushing yards than they did passing yards. So, again, felt very much like his Michigan days. The run game's kind of propelling him. The team's kind of propelling him, all that. Again, I'm kind of contradicting myself because I was like, hey, that is too many points. Then I come to this and I looked at that and go, JJ really wasn't as great as he was. maybe a stay away from game for me, but I might look at the total as potentially going over. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Where would you?
That was my gut. I mean, that was my gut instinct. When I first saw the game, when I was first looking at this one, I like the total more than I like, betting anything on the Vikings or the Ravens.
Totally.
I like that over. Yeah.
Totally agree. One last thing to put a bow on this before we move on is that, you remember how JJ looked against the Chicago Bears? And the season they won.
The one quarter or the other three?
The other three was complete dog crap, right? And then the one quarter is like phenomenal.
Yeah.
Do you know that as bad as he looked in that game, he had a 65% completion rate against the Bears, against the Lions, a 56% completion rate. So even worse against the Lions. But the first quarter, he looked so great that it just overshadowed that. And in your mind, you're like, he was phenomenal the entire game, and he really wasn't.
Yeah. Wow. That's good stuff. Mm-hmm. All right. Browns at the Jets. We got the toilet bowl. Both teams coming off a bye.
Combined records of 3-13.
Ouch.
This game, just from a weather perspective, the Jets, Jets. This is 56 rain likely, 10 miles an hour. So not great weather, but if you go to this game, you're a glutton for punishment anyway. So it's not going to bother you. This is just a game to beat all games. This is a game to sit home and have a favorite adult beverage of yours, watching it on the couch and preferably betting on it.
Yeah.
The small investment, if you can find something, do that. The Jets obviously made the big splash by fire selling. Not really fire selling. They actually did really well, I thought. Got a lot of value for Quinnen Williams. Got a lot of value for Sauce Gardner, and will help rebuild their team. They've got, not next year, but in 2027, the Jets have 3 first-round picks. Pretty impressive that I'm sure that they will use. Maybe not next year, but the year after. Draft class is supposed to be the best draft class. 2027 is supposed to be the best draft class in decades. So they will be set up. We'll see if they screw it up. And, that's what the Jets have done. So I've got this one. I have got the Jets at +3, and I've got a total of 37.5.
We got the Jets opening at +2.5. Line has maintained. We're still at 2.5 most everywhere. Total opened at 37.5, and that's stayed pretty consistent as well.
Yeah. Interesting enough. That should be there. Let's see anything on, the totals. Let's see. Jets are 1-5 in one-score games. Cleveland's 1-2 in one-score games. Cleveland's great at home, bad on the road. This obviously is a road game, but if you're ever going to have a good game on the road, it'd be against the Jets, right?
Right.
You see an angle on this game at all that you're like, hey, if I'm going to play this game, this might be where I'm leaning toward?
I gotta say I'm leaning Browns. I just don't think you give up 2 pieces like that and not feel it.
Well, it certainly sends an emotional, if nothing else, sends an emotional message to the locker room that said, hey, we're done, and you just gave up 2 of our best pieces because you're maybe even playing for 2027 at this point,
right? Because
your draft picks are 3 first rounds, 2 next year, 3 in 2027. So I don't know what you think about this, being a Jets fan. Breece Hall wanted to be traded, but the Jets weren't going to take anything less than a 3rd round. People offered a 4th round for him. Kansas City did. They wouldn't take it. Breece Hall is requested to be traded. I saw a meme of, somebody put, these memes on social media are just amazing, right?
Right.
They showed the plane. It's like that, Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner were on a plane, and they've got Brees Hall standing on one top of the engines, like he's going with them, and so he's like, "Let me on the plane." Just hilarious. But anyway, again, I'm with you on this one. If I'm playing this one, probably going to go with the Browns because it feels like the Jets are just giving up, right?
Yeah.
And how do you feel like, not a ringing endorsement for Justin Fields either, right? He kind of feels like his days are numbered. They're like getting draft picks. So they're like, we've realized he's not the quarterback, so we're loading up on first round draft picks so we can get a quarterback.
Yeah. All right. Patriots at the Bucs. Let's see here. Patriots, they squeaked that one out over the Falcons. Buccaneers are coming off a bye. Hope that helped them. They were pretty beat up. Extra time to have those guys heal up. What do you think of the line on this one, Uncle Phil?
Well, look, if you just cover the weather really quick, if you want to hang on to summer a little bit more, I advise going to Tampa Bay as well. 77 clear, 5 miles an hour. I'd trade that in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. My line on this one, I've got Tampa Bay -3 and a total of 37.5.
It opened Tampa Bay -2.5. It's staying 2.5. Our total opened at 47.5. That's creeped up a little bit to 48.5.
Interesting. I'm not surprised with a 2.5, but I am a little surprised with 48.5, and I'll tell you why. Is that, look, Tampa Bay, Chris Godwin and Bucky Irvin, neither one of those people practiced today. That's not a good sign for Tampa, right? I mean, you need those guys, especially with Evans out for the year, or at least till potential playoffs for him. 2.5, I'm not surprised, but I just wonder where the total is going to come. I do understand that, New England's got one of the best rush defenses, in the NFL. Once again, proving that by stifling Bijan Robinson last week. So it must mean that, hey, we're going to have to pass. But Chris Godwin's out. That is a big loss for Tampa. I don't know. Do you see an angle in this one at all?
It's hard for me to bet against the Bucs. Do you know what they are against the line this year?
Yeah, they're 6-3 against the spread this year. They're 4-2 in one-score games, and they are 5-4 overs to unders.
Yeah. I mean, I still got to probably stick with the Bucs here. The Bucs at home, off a bye. I think they can pull this one out. It's hard for me because I have so much faith in both these teams, but I got to give the Bucs the nod at home.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was New England. My bad. Bucs are not that. Bucs are actually 5-3 against the spread. They're 4-4 as far as totals, and Bucs are also coming off a bye.
Yep.
So that I don't know that I would bet for a team coming off solely because they came off a bye, but it certainly would make me not bet against them. And so, but certainly the lean is to bet for them on that. They are 4-1 in one-score games, where the Patriots are 4-2 in one-score games. So Patriots are 6-3 against the spread so far. The Buccaneers are 5-3 against the spread. I don't know. Let's see, home and on the road.
Very similar, these two.
Interesting enough, the 3 games that New England did not cover were all on the road. No. My bad. We're all at home. They've covered every single game on the road.
Oh, great.
They cover at home in Las Vegas, home against Pittsburgh, and home against Atlanta.
That's not what I want to hear.
Yeah, but they every single game on the road, at Miami, at Buffalo, at New Orleans, at Tennessee. Not exactly the cream of crop except Buffalo, but that's in division, right?
Yeah,
Total animal. Will they cover here?
I'd still take a flyer on.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Interesting enough, Bucks are they are 1-2 against the spread at home. They are 4-1. No, I'm sorry. They are 1-2 against the spread at home, and they are 4-1 against the spread on the road. So Bucks are a better road team against the spread.
Yeah.
And not as much a good home team. The Patriots are a better road team.
Yeah.
So that would almost lean toward the Patriots as far as you just looking at statistics. But that'll make
the deck is stacked against me, Uncle Phil.
It is. Let's see. Tampa Bay is 1-4 as far as overs to unders. They've gone under mostly on the road, but at home they've gone 3-0. They're over. So maybe that's why it's going. Maybe that's why that total is going up as well. Nothing real significant.
And what was the stat on the one-score games again? Handy.
Yeah, Patriots are 4-2. Bucks are 4-1.
Yeah, I like the Bucks.
Yep.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Okay, Cardinals at the Seahawks. Cardinals big win over the Cowboys. Seahawks had a very convincing win over the Commanders. What are you thinking for this line?
This game's 55, pretty significant chance of rain, 66%, winds 3 miles an hour. So medium cold, and rainy, but not so much windy. On this game, I have my guess is Seattle 6.5 and a total of 47.
So Seahawks minus 1.5. And we have lines everywhere from, let's see here. No, we're still at minus 1.5.
Really?
Minus 1.5. Well, again, it depends. It depends where you're looking. I mean, there's everything from minus 1.5 to minus 6.5.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's all over the board. Yeah. But it opened at 1.5. Our total opened at 45.5. And that's basically maintained.
Okay. I am looking at MGM right now. Let's see, to see what that one's at 6.5 and 45.5 right now.
Yep.
I think the 1.5's probably an older line, maybe, but we'll see. Maybe that's the opening line.
Yeah, opening line. But they still have it. That was today's with. I mean, as of this afternoon, DraftKings was 1.5, and MGM was 6.5. Yeah,
that seems pretty big disparity there. Something's
not right.
Something's not right somewhere on that one. Look, you got Jacoby Brissett. I mean, he's announced a starter. They put Kyler Murray on IR today because of the heel. I think they conveniently put him on IR. I think he's having some heel issues, but clearly this team's a much better team with Jacoby Myers there. They're scoring 5 more points a game on average. The whole thing, third down, they're better. Total yards, they're better. The whole thing. Arizona had not had a drive that ended in a touchdown greater than 74 yards this entire season. with Jacoby. They had 2 against the Cowboys. Now, I'm not sure if that says more about the Cowboys or about them or about Arizona, but I think there's something to Jacoby, and I think that Kyler Murray is getting ready to be on the trading block. What say you?
I mean, I think I remember you calling this one last week. You said you like Brissett better than,
Dude. I do.
He was your guy last week. So, then they came out, had a good game. So,
Harrison plays better with Brissett. I saw that last week in that game. And then this week, 2 weeks ago, and then this past week against Dallas, I took Harrison anytime touchdown because they just have a connection. And you saw that. I mean, he just schooled on that inside slant, that touchdown that he got near the goal line. He just schooled DaRon Bland. DaRon Bland fell down. Harrison looked like the guy we thought he would look like coming out of Ohio State. And I remember, I think it was CeeDee Lamb was on the bench, and they called him on the big screen. And he just like, oh my gosh, when he did that move. And so that was kind of bad when you're like your own teammates getting crushed there. But it was very genuine. And it was. I mean, Harrison looks good. I'm proud for Harrison. The way he looks there. And I know that he's not sad to see Jacoby start again, because most targets, most receptions all year long was against the Cowboys for him. And I think good things to come for Harrison, with a quarterback shows you his potential for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals they've been good to me this year a few times. Seahawks, do you have their home and away records?
Yes, I do. 1 second here. Yeah. So
I may be wrong, but I feel like the Seahawks are stronger on the road this year. But
they are. Mike McDonald's actually won. It's either 11 out of 12 or 10 out of 11 of all the games on the road. I mean, that's unprecedented. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, that's just a professional coach being able to get his team ready and go anywhere. We'll go anywhere, and we'll strap it on anywhere. You name the time and place, and we'll be there. I love that about Seattle, and certainly Mike McDonald. We always thought he'd have a great team, and he certainly moved that Ravens defense over with him. And the Ravens defense has not been the same without him. So we'll see how that goes. Seattle's home and away. Away, they are 1, 2, 3. They are 4-0 on the road this year, and they are 1, 2, and 2 at home. Their wins being New Orleans at home and Houston at home. Their losses being San Francisco at home and Tampa Bay at home. Certainly as well. 3-2 in one-score games, but 6-2 against the spread this year. Their only 2 that they haven't covered are at home against San Francisco and Tampa Bay. Slightly to the over, 5 overs to 3 unders on that. I don't know. How do you size up this team, this game? They got to be pretty an interesting game with Jacoby. I don't know. What do you think about this game?
Well, I mean, I was kind of liking the over. You said there might be a little bit of weather. Divisional game. If it is in fact the -6.5, if you can get the -6.5, I'm probably leaning Cardinals on this one. I think the Seahawks are going to win. I just think it's going to be close.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. With you. I think that's probably it. We'll see how it goes, but I could certainly see that. I'm with you.
All right. Rams at 49ers. Rams won over the Saints. 49ers won over the Giants. What's your guess?
Yeah, my guess on this one is I'll take San Francisco -1.5, and I'll take a total of 48.5.
It opened 49ers 3.
Wow.
Yep. And our total opened at 48.5, and we're now at 49.5.
Okay, so I'm way off on the side, about to ride on the total. Interesting, must be taking consideration kind of a revenge game for McVay for laying an egg on that Thursday night and knocking about 5 of my survivor teams out of Circa. So thank you very much, you jackass. But 3.5 means that the Rams would be 6.5-point favorites on a neutral field, 9.5 points at home. Seems like an awful lot of points, especially to that against Shanahan, which I think is a better coach personally. And will be an interesting game. Let me check the weather on this one. Hadn't looked at that. 74, mostly cloudy, 3 miles an hour. So pretty great weather. I mean, couldn't ask for more for that. Let's see. Rams are 6-2 against the spread. 49ers are 5-4 against the spread. Total, the 49ers are 6-3, overs to unders, and the Rams are 3-5, overs to unders. So kind of a mixed bag there. Any thoughts on this game at all?
Some odd numbers here. I mean, I'd probably have to lean Rams. Again, don't feel real strong either way. Definitely don't do the total on this. I wouldn't even know where to go with the total on this one. If I'm picking, I got to go with the Rams. Just too much firepower.
Yeah, seem to be humming on all cylinders right now. One thing of note is that Mac Jones is 11th in the league in success rate. In 2023, his last year as a starter, he was ranked 25th. And that's statistics. So the power of Shanahan at work, really, really good to see these guys that are considered bust get with a team that actually develops them. I think that's really the story of kind of the 2020s, right? Is that you see these talented quarterbacks that in past would be completely cast aside and say, bust, we're done. You never see the light of day again. Never even get to hold a clipboard. And now not only do they get to hold a clipboard, they're getting revitalized in getting sent to rehab, either to Kevin O'Connell, to Sean McVay, or to Shanahan, and all of a sudden getting rehabbed and all of a sudden become stars. It's really good to see, and I'm certainly glad I'm here for it.
Good deal. All right, our third primetime game, Lions at the Commanders. Lions coming off that tough loss to the Vikings. Commanders lost by a lot to the Seahawks.
Yeah, and plus the Jaden Daniels injury that dislocated it. Oh, that was tough to watch.
Ouch.
66 degrees, 20% chance of rain, winds 10 miles an hour. Not massively big, but you've got a dome team going outside, but a dome team that's got to be pretty pissed off that let that go away. Interesting deal in how that happened. But I've got this one. I've got Detroit -6, and I've got a total of 49.5.
It opened Detroit -8.5. That's gone down to -7.5. Our total opened at 49.5. And again, depending where you're looking, 48.5 to 50.
Okay. Interesting. Certainly, I think that's key for people that are betting on these games to be looking at different sports books, have multiple accounts so you can get the best line. Where you ever made your decision, do that. It really will help you because there certainly is, we've shown today, certainly variations in these lines that you're getting.
Yeah, you may not have to tease it. You could just find a better line.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, this is going to be the Mariota-led Commanders in this game. Jaden Daniels now his 4th injury to 4 different body parts in 2 years. That's not sustainable, right?
No.
He's been hit the most of any quarterback in the past 2 years. He's been hit 322 times.
Wow. And I never would have guessed that last year because he always looked so good. But
it's just unsustainable. You can't get hit 322 times in the NFL.
And he's not the biggest, sturdiest guy either.
It's just slight. Like Lamar was slight at first, and then he got thickened up. He's realized, like, if I'm going to play with the big boys and I'm going to run, what's the maximum amount I can, muscle up and do and still maintain my quickness, competitive edge. Jaden Daniels is going to have to do that. It's really interesting. Let's see. The one thing that I saw that I thought was definitely interesting is that this year it looks like I had researched this. Let's see that teams are playing him differently this year. It looks like, this is a lot. He's facing a lot more zone coverages and zone blitzes, which have kind of stopped him than he was last year. So it's made a difference in how he's been, how he's being approached this year, and certainly his difference in completion percentages, and definitely his run as well. He's going to have to evolve if he's going to be effective in year 3, because I think this year is pretty much cash for him. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Phil.
They're done. I mean, Washington's done this year. Let's put him on the shelf, get him healed up for next year. Let's put a game plan together, both physically as well as a type of offense for him. It's just a question if will Cliff Kingsbury stick around for another year for him.
Yeah, I was excited about the Commanders this year, but that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Are we at Sunday night already? Steelers at the Chargers?
Been waiting all day for Sunday night. There we go. Look, the Steelers, man, this is going to be an interesting game. I think this one's super interesting. I know that we have covered a lot of games today and talked a lot, but I love this game. This is a really interesting game. I have got this one. I gave up on this one. I just gave it the standard 3 points for the home team at the Chargers, which probably won't even really be a home game for them because the Steelers fans travel so much. So 3 points for the Chargers, and I put the total at 45.5. What say you?
It opened at Chargers laying 3.5. Opening total was 45.5. The lines moved to the Chargers laying 3, and the total has either maintained at 45.5 or gone down to 45.
Not surprised at all. Chargers, again, both starting left tackles are trying to work in a new tackle and see how he does his very first week after trade. That's kind of going to be uneven. Pittsburgh, of course, interesting as well, coming off of this massively good win against them. Interesting, some stats for you, though. This is an Aaron Rodgers-driven team. I feel like Pittsburgh is wasting Aaron's really good year again, even though they won. I'm not like, what do you mean wasting? They won last week. I'm like, I know. But last year, Pittsburgh was 29th in the red zone, just kind of did some digging. Now they're top 10.
I think they were as high as 3rd as of last week.
Yeah. Aaron, he looked really old when playing for the Jets, and now he looks pretty nimble. He looks good. He's Aaron's top 10 in passer rating, completion percentage, and in TDs. So, obviously those things right there. But the offensive line is not doing him any favors, and the rushing game is just simply non-existent. They're still only averaging 1.7 yards per rush. That's brutal.
Brutal.
And so, I mean, here you are, and and the defense really isn't that good. They switched things up a little bit for Daniel Jones. I think they played kind of a game with him on that. They had they switched from man to zone against Daniel Jones, and they confused him.
And the zone finally looked strong. I mean,
and maybe that's what they end up playing.
Yeah,
maybe they play zone.
And they also said they went back to the basics. Just really tried to simplify things and let the guys play. So, if they stay on that track, keep Ramsey at safety. He's practiced all week at safety.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Wilson, God, he looked good last week. Whoa. They tested him for steroids after the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, they did the same thing. Cam Little posted it after he made that 8-yard field goal to set the all-time record. He immediately got a letter from the NFL saying, "Hey, you're going to do some drug testing," and he posted that online, which I thought was funny.
But what's interesting about that? I heard that that the kickers are finally allowed to bring their own balls in. So maybe one of the reasons they're able to. We're seeing so many 60 plus yard field goals this year. I'm always in favor of the Steelers. I'm partial, but I really like this total. I think the Steelers are going to have to score at least 25 points to win this game.
I think so too. Listen to this before you fully commit to that.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh was outgained 368 to 225 total yards against the Colts. So again, they did a lot through the turnovers, the 6 turnovers in their 2 wins, their 2 best wins. Against their 2 biggest wins are against New England and against Indianapolis, and those they've had 11 turnovers. I mean, that's so you wonder if hey, that's just Steeler ball, or is it smoke and mirrors of what they're doing, because Aaron Rodgers is covering it up. And again, remember the great year that Brett Favre had as a Vikings? It was just magical till he threw it away in the playoffs and threw that Brett Favre, only that pass he could throw, and he threw it right to the opposing team in the playoffs, and you're like, oh my gosh. And you're like, why did you make that throw? And Aaron Rodgers is statistically on pace to have a better than Favre did with the Vikings that year. So really impressive. But again, Rodgers only attempted 3 passes of greater than 10 yards or more against the Colts. So again, it's really kind of dinking and dunking his way down the field. But I think he's covering up for a bad offensive line, and doing that, it's kind
of their way of running the clock without having a running game.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Giving the defense a break, and the defense was outstanding. I mean, the total yardage, I hear you, but I think the fourth quarter they gave up more yards than the first 3 quarters against the Colts. So many of those yards came from the Steelers just wanting to burn as much clock as possible.
So you're going over in this game?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it's a bad deal. I mean, Chargers, they're giving up more yardage, and they are the Chargers are they're not the Chargers, but Pittsburgh's giving up more on the defense side of the ball, but maybe they're not if they're switching to zone, kind of getting back to basics, what you mentioned. It'll be interesting to see how they piece that together 2 weeks in a row. I'm really interested. I'm all in on this game. I think it's going to be exciting. Should be a fun game.
Yeah. I mean, both teams, I believe it was 27-20 last week, both teams.
Yeah.
And this feels like another 27-20 Steelers win.
I totally agree. Both of them got there by more. I mean, I think both games were neither as close as they were shown. Obviously, Pittsburgh, really took control of that game, right? Indianapolis picked up some garbage yardage and touchdown that last fourth quarter when the game was clearly in hand. Tennessee did the Chargers did the exact same. with a lesser opponent, granted, but with Tennessee playing against Tennessee. Tennessee had an interception return and a punt return for a touchdown to get that. Their offense did not have a touchdown in that game. So definitely a lot more lopsided. Another game I lost. Let's just go ahead and put the list that I had the Chargers minus 9.5. I did play them in game to cover 4.5 and got that. But just a brutal Sunday for me. But fortunately, I bookended that with a 5-1 Thursday night and a 5-1 Monday night. So came out with a winning weekend.
Nice.
And, so again, the gambler, it's like sales. It's like they didn't say no. It's just not yet. Right? Like the gambler, it's like, hey, I didn't win today, but it doesn't mean it's just I hadn't won yet. And so you got to keep that mentality, and I love it.
So are you saying being a winning bettor is about perseverance?
I'm saying there's always a chance.
Good deal. All right, our last one, Uncle Phil. Monday night, Eagles at Packers. Eagles are coming off a bye. Packers, tough loss to the Panthers. What do you got for a line?
I got this one. I have got Green Bay at minus 2.5, and I've got a total at 45.5.
Right on the money. Green Bay is minus 2.5. The line, the total actually opened at 44.5. And that's maintained 44.5 or at the most up to 45.5. So we're right there.
Well, another fun thing about this one, second game of the week where I can say a slight chance of snow in the frozen tundra, and our coldest weather game yet of the year at a temperature of 31 degrees. So we're getting there. Our next stop is in the 20s. Hopefully we'll get there next weekend, but we'll see. We're just waiting for a frozen one of the plunging polar plunge from Canada air to come down. Winds 11 miles an hour, so again, not big deal, but should be a fun game from that perspective. Only a slight chance of snow. I know I'm getting too excited about that, but again, good football weather, should be fun. Interesting game on this one. Green Bay coming off a really just brutal loss to Carolina. Green Bay seems to be playing to the level of their competition. Yeah. 40-40 tie with Dallas. This Cleveland loss, the low-scoring game. The same thing with Carolina, but yet they're up for Detroit and just waxed them the very first game. And so what is your thoughts on this Green Bay team?
Well, I mean, the Packers are used to the frozen tundra. The Eagles, they're kind of set up for this weather too. But, Saquon has a big game. I think the Eagles are going to have no problem here. But at Lambeau, that's a tough place. These spreads this week, for whatever reason, are giving me fits. Yes. I like the totals. This is I'm probably liking the under here, Uncle Phil.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all with that. Should be pretty interesting. I mean, the Eagles going toward a run-oriented offense or defense or offense, so kind of becoming who they are. Eagles, strangely, in the odd position of being an underdog. So that's an interesting dynamic as well. Maybe not to them as much as us as bettors. So that's interesting. I think this could be an interesting game. I'm with you though. If I just had to look at it from a gut perspective right now, I would say the total is more interesting than anything. I think I probably have my teaser on this one as well. I see lots of interesting things. Eagles, clearly Howie Roseman pulls off magic, gets their edge rusher. Not quite Micah Parsons, but pretty darn good. Led the Minnesota Dolphins in pressures. in sacks, and got Jalen Phillips there. So that's a massive addition for them. Also got the corner from the Ravens, Jair Alexander. Not sure that he's great, but maybe with Philadelphia certainly fills a role there. It will be interesting to see what's going on. Eagles, this year's Kansas City team, 5-1 in one-score games. This is projecting to be a one-score game. We'll see how that one goes. Green Bay, 1-2-1 in one-score games. Obviously, one of those was at home. Their only loss against Carolina. The rest are all on the road, went 1-1-1. So really kind of all we've got to go on. Green Bay been underwhelming from a betting perspective at 3-5 against the spread. Philadelphia 5-3 against the spread. Big news for Philadelphia that they did not trade A.J. Brown in this game. So that was an interesting deal as well. And the Eagles coming off a bye.
Yep, coming off a bye. That -2.5, it feels like a little bit of a honeypot to me.
Tell me why.
Well, it just, I think
Bear.
I think most people would go, yeah, give me the Eagles in 2.5, even in Lambeau. But just as easily the Packers could win by 10. So if I'm doing something, I'm staying with the total.
I'm going to give you something to support that. Week 7, I had in my notes, it said you just can't run against them. Carolina came in and said, oh, yes, we can. Yeah, Carolina, right. Rico Dowdle had 130 yards on the ground, gave up 163 yards overall at home. And Saquon and Philadelphia's got to be licking their chops that, hey, we're going to run early and we're going to run often and see if we can't reproduce what the Panthers did. Panthers may have just lined out a formula. Now, granted, I don't think that Green Bay ever punted against Carolina. They just kept turning the ball over and going over on downs, either on turnovers or on downs, and just kind of made a mess of it. It's kind of the perfect storm for them to do this, although statistically they really weren't bad in the game and did some good things. They just, again, just played down the level of their competition. So I'm not really sure what happened to this one, but I am pumped up about it just from it's 31 degrees. It's football weather. People remember the games you win in November. And here we are in November, and this is packed. Any final words on this game before we turn it off to Matt to wrap things up for us?
I just want my Steelers to have 2 in a row. Let's get another win this weekend. But
LFG.
Yeah.
There you go. I love it. Matt, that's all we got, buddy.
That's all you got. Well, I like Monday night. I like Green Bay versus Philly. That's the game of the week.
Oh, there's no question. That should be awesome. Unless you're a Steelers fan, then it's Steelers at the Chargers. But
game of the week. Yeah.
There you go. 100%. Matt, thanks for playing hurt tonight. Thanks for joining the show. We appreciate you. Last show, we missed you. I know you had other things going on, but good to have you here. Sticks, our Steelers insider and our Vegas insider as well. So great to have you as well. For Sticks, again, our Vegas and Steelers insider. For Matt, who hosts and produces the show, I'm Uncle Phil. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully that was worth some value. Thanks for spending an hour and a half your time with us, man. We sure enjoyed it. We love doing this. Sometimes things get in the way where we can't always do this. But, man, we sure miss it. Hope you guys find some value in this as much as we do. We have so much fun doing it. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. I'll see you guys Saturday morning for college football's Lockin' Live with Uncle Phil and with the Railbird. So, guys, join us then, and certainly I'll be there for Lockin' Live on Sunday. Guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, guys, have a great week. We'll see you Saturday morning. Let's roll.